Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to another edition of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long, the second, not the first, not the third. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today's California.com. We are also live on today's Canada.com. We are all over Twitter. We are all over the universe, the metaverse, wherever you can find. We are there. We would like to thank Craig Campbell of CoachellaValley.com for the opportunity and the platform. We would also like to thank Sage Alvarez for the distribution and all the hard work that he puts in behind the scenes. I am Barry Long, the second, like I said. Welcome. So this is a new hat. I know some people are on Twitter talking smack about my hats, like, oh, I wonder what hat he's going to wear today. Well, today I have on the Coachella Valley Firebirds hat. This is their official secondary logo. I was, as you can see right there, it says Coachella Valley. Let me get it right there in the camera. Coachella Valley Firebirds. Anyway, anyway. So I was there at the store today. They have a wonderful store right there off of El Paseo, and lots of different merchandise in there. Love it. Some very nice people to work with. And shout out to Bill Senso. He's a gentleman, a buddy of mine that is involved with the chamber. He's very well in the know about what's going on with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. They are the minor league version of the Seattle Kraken. So it's just wonderful to have, professional sports out here in the Coachella Valley. And you know what? Hockey is one of the greatest sports to actually go and watch. We cover mostly football, mostly basketball, cover a little bit of baseball, a little bit of hockey, but we have to stick with what moves the needle. And it certainly does have, less coverage than other sports, but hockey is the most exciting live experience that you could ever have as a fan. And I am a Kings fan. Shout out to the Kings. We won last night. But yeah, so, when you go to a hockey game, not only are they allowed to fight in some games, but most of the time, there's just this energy in the arena that is just indescribable. And when they score, oh my goodness, it is hype. When that siren goes off. And I actually used to live in Orange County. And for, a brief time while I lived in Irvine for about a year, 2 years, I was actually going to quite a bit of Anaheim Ducks games down there at the Honda Center. So, just to be around the sport is just a beautiful thing. And I'm glad that we're going to be able to experience it here in the Coachella Valley. And not only will they have, just hockey, they're going to have some other things that are going to be going on in that arena. They're going to have, Disney on Ice, concerts, all types of stuff. So exciting for us. Now, we are Go Long Live. We talk about professional sports most of the time. We are live. This is not a podcast. This is a live television show. Okay, so look us up on Twitter. We are all over Instagram. Go Long Live. Go _long _live. And you can also find me at Barry Long _2 on IG and Barry Long Radio Barry Long at Twitter. Now, we had some great games happen yesterday, some games that went down to the wire. The Lions got their first win. So excited for the Lions. Brother Long, Clyde Bluff out there. That's my guy. He goes by the moniker Lonely Lion out here on a different sports show. But he is quite excited about – he's so excited that the Lions won that my man was live on Facebook singing karaoke, singing his heart out. And he sounds good, too. He sounds good. But the Lions got their first win. I know I've been very critical of Dan Campbell, so critical of Dan Campbell. I still don't think he keeps his job after this season. But the Lions getting their first win was certainly exciting for them. And I understand, that the fans – and the players, they were cheering like they just won the Super Bowl. And if you're a team that is used to winning and has a winning culture of a team, then you cannot understand why they were so excited. But if you've rooted for a team for a long time and never seen them win or never seen them win a Super Bowl or a championship, and they finally get it done, that feeling is just amazing. And sad to say it, but the Lions are not a winning culture. And for them to get that win was just amazing for them. And I don't care if the fans want to cheer like they just won a Super Bowl. Let them have it. Let them have that day. But we will talk about that here shortly. We will also talk about something crazy that happened in sports in the CFL. Now, we don't talk about Canadian Football League, but we are live in Canada. And I've been on the Rob Peterson show. Shout out to Rob Peterson. He's the number one Canadian sports talk show. I'm thankful every time I get to make an appearance on TV up there. But we had a fight that happened. The Toronto Argonauts. And this is a team that became popular in America when we found out that Ricky Williams quit the NFL. He was a running back. You guys remember he had mental illness, smoked a lot of weed. He quit the NFL, went up to playing in Canada, and we kind of followed him to see where he would go and how things would play out for him. But he ended up on the Argonauts. And then I believe the Hamilton Tiger Cats became popular when Johnny Manziel played in the CFL, and he went up there and played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, or the Tie Cats, as they're referred to in Canada. But yesterday, after the Argonauts lost to the Tiger Cats, a fan of the Tiger Cats spit beer in the face of an Argonauts player, and this is what transpired.
Yo. Get out there. Go, bud. Go, bud. Go, bud. Go, bud. No. Oh. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
Please excuse the language. So yeah, that's what happened, and just a crazy series of events that happened, up in Canada, and football is a passionate game, and their fans of all football teams are passionate. Whether we're talking about college, whether we're talking about NFL, whether we're talking about CFL, and the CFL was going to investigate. That fan was promptly arrested, and taken to jail. And the CFL is going to investigate. I'm sure there are going to be some player suspensions, maybe banning of that fan from the stadium. But it just kind of reminds you of the Malice in the Palace, what happened between Ron Artest, the Indiana Pacers, and the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Pistons, Ben Wallace. So we had fans getting involved with the altercation with the players. You had Steven Jackson, you had Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest running up in the stands, punching fans. It was a melee. And at that time, we hadn't seen anything like that for a long time. And it was shocking. I mean, it really was shocking. It was so shocking that when they opened it up on SportsCenter the following morning, I literally sat there and just stared at the screen and was just with my mouth open the entire time. And they showed the entire video, and it was disgusting. If you love sports and you're just a pure sportist, if I don't even know if that's a word, but if you just love sports, then you were disgusted. But if we think back in the 80s, there were times where there were players that would go up into the stands and would shut a fan up just like that. I mean, Charles Oakley, there's clips. You can go and look on YouTube. There are clips of players fighting with fans for years. So it's been going on. It's just not something that's just happened in Detroit early in the 2000s, the Malice at the Palace. This is something that has been going on in the NBA for a while. We have not seen anything really like this in the NFL, but we saw fans this past season, this past season when fans are allowed back into NBA arenas, going crazy. We saw fans pouring popcorn on Russell Westbrook. We saw a fan throw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. And Russell Westbrook actually wanted to retaliate. He was so serious about going up in the stands that it took them about 5 or 6 security guards just to hold Russell back. And Russell is a serious dude. Russell has gotten into arguments and altercations that did not turn physical with fans, especially in Utah. There's clips of him being heckled by fans and then turning around and letting them know that he will whip their what. We're live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's shocking, but these guys are full of adrenaline, full of testosterone, and they're full of passion for their game, for whatever sport they're playing. And when you come at them wrong, you have to understand that you're a grown man, they're a grown man, and there's consequences to some things that you do or some things that you say. And if you spit beer in the face of anybody, they're gonna whoop your what too. So I don't feel bad for the fan because he spit beer in somebody's face. But he was arrested, got what he deserved, and he also got what he deserved physically. And I hope that these players, maybe it doesn't affect them long term in their career, but they certainly deserve a suspension too, because at some point you have to understand that you're not an animal at a circus, but you gotta restrain yourself as a player. So we'll see what happens. We're coming down. We'll keep you updated on that story. But that was just something that really was interesting that happened in sports. Now let's get to the Lions. Let's get to these Detroit Lions. A shout out to Brother Long. We had Chris Long on the show this past Friday. It was an enjoyable moment, an enjoyable show to have him alongside me on Go Long Live. He will be on the show, quite regularly, having coffee with him on Wednesday. We'll talk more about his involvement with the show. But we're going to talk about the Lions. The Lions, they were 0-10-1, and now they are 1-10-1. They finally won a game. It was exciting to watch. The fans in the stands just going crazy. They won it at home. It was at the final play of the game. And, Jared Goff played a decent game. 296 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a pick. But they got a really big game out of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he has another brother. He has a brother that plays in the league, and he's really good. He plays for the Packers. But St. Brown had 10 catches for 86 yards and that touchdown on the final play as time expired. And they went down. They had a nice little drive at the end of the game. And, Jared Goff threw an incomplete pass, and the last play was 4 seconds left. And you knew this was their last chance. And it just felt like the Lions were not going to get the win. They just weren't. Because they're the Lions. And what happened was, Jared Goff made a tight throw into a tight window, into double coverage. And St. Brown was able to come up with the catch. And then, just like every other NFL game, when you see a big play happen, what's the first thing you look at? The bottom of the screen to see if that yellow thing is flashing on the bottom that says flag. And you just knew that was going to happen with the Lions too. But it didn't. And the Lions were able to get this victory. Now, you hope as a Lions fan that they do not continue to win because you want that number 1 overall draft pick. You got to be smart as a Lions fan. The season is over. I mean, you could go 6-10-1, but you don't want to go 6-10-1. You want to go 1-15-1. Try to do the math because they have 17 games. The Lions were able to win. And for all the criticism that I've had about Dan Campbell, and yes, I still think Dan Campbell will be fired at the end of this season, but for all the criticism that Dan Campbell has gotten, especially here on Go Long Live, because of press conferences like this, his introductory press conference. And yes, I am one that reads deeply into press conferences. Adam Gase had a bad press conference. Adam Gase had a bad coaching career. Okay. Dan Campbell's had a bad press conference to start the game. Bad coaching career. Ben McAdoo of the Giants. Bad press conference. His suit was too big. Okay. He was swimming in that suit. And that's a pretty big dude. It just did not come across as a head coach. Dan Campbell in this press conference is when I was very critical of him.
Of this city. All right. And the city's been down and it found a way to get up. All right. It's found a way to overcome adversity.
Yes,
it
is.
So this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth. All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. All right. And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock
Why
us
a kneecap?
down.
Why a
and
kneecap?
on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap. And we're
oh, God.
That's going to
2 kneecaps
to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another.
Do animals even like kneecaps? When they go after something like more meaty, like a buttocks or like the back of a thigh? I mean, that's just me. Animals don't eat kneecaps. But anyway, for all the press conferences that he's gotten wrong, and he's cried in other press conferences, yesterday after the win, he got this one right.
This game ball goes to the whole Oxford community. All those were affected. And that being said, man, I want us to not forget these names: Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, Justin Schilling, Tate Meir, Phoebe Arthur, John Ashudu, Riley France, Elijah Mueller, Kylie Osigi, Aiden Watson, and Molly Darnell, who's a teacher. Those names, for all those, will never be forgotten, and they're in our hearts and our prayers and all the families, and not to mention all those that were affected by all of this.
So, yeah, he got that one right. And, being so critical of Dan Campbell, I just had to come because when you're in this line of work and you're trying to, give your sports takes, When you feel somebody needs to be criticized, you're critical of it. But when you feel like somebody needs to be celebrated, then you should celebrate them. And Dan Campbell certainly got this one right, and I'm happy for him. And that community's gone through a lot. They just had a school shooting that happened in Oxford, and had a few kids die. And when something like that happens in your city, as a head coach, as a player in that city, it's a great thing. It's nearing and dearing to that city and the citizens and the fans of that city when you acknowledge things that have happened and you do something like that. So he has a lot of class, man. And I still think he's getting fired. Don't get it twisted. But shout out to the Lions. I was just so happy for them. And they're fans. They deserve a win. And nobody deserves to go 0 for whatever. 0 for 15, 0 16 and 1, whatever. So the Lions got to win. And we had some other games that happened in the NFL yesterday. There was a thriller between Washington and the Raiders. I was excited to watch this game because I'm Washington is my second team if I were to have a second team, okay? And I am from the Virginia DMV area. I'm from Virginia Beach. I grew up, with a lot of people on my street, a lot of people just in town in general were Washington Redskins fans. My first starter jacket was a Washington Redskins fan. I was born in '86. When the Ravens came along in 2001, most of my family's from Baltimore, so I went and I jumped on the bandwagon before it was a bandwagon, when we hadn't won a championship yet. And Ray Lewis came along, and he solidified me as a lifelong fan. And just no matter what terrible season we have or great season, I am always going to be a Ravens fan. But Redskins will always hold a near and dear spot in my heart. And, so I root for them. I root for them a lot. And I was at O'Kane's last week, as I am each and every Monday, with TK from 93.7 KCLB. Shout out to TK. And we were out there, and, the owner, shout out to Brenda from O'Kane. She is a Redskins fan, and I was excited to know that she was a Washington fan, because it's just something about that team, those team colors, just the helmet with the yellow one. It's just something about it that's nostalgic for me and for a lot of people. And it just looks like football. It's just like, one of those classic jerseys, like the Yankees, just nostalgic. And but yeah, I hope that we were talking, and I hope that they pick a great team name moving forward when they have to pick a mascot. There's some team names up in the air: Washington Warriors, Washington Generals, Washington Presidents. They have a lot of different random names. Washington, I believe there was a Washington Redbirds or something. So they got some random names that are on the list, and hopefully they pick. But they've been doing well this past couple weeks. They've strung together some wins. They got a quarterback in Taylor Heineke. I am excited for him. He is from he played high school or college football in Norfolk, Virginia at ODU. My sister went to school at. It's right around the corner from my house. So I'm excited for him because he was a big-time star there. I mean, 4-year starter, records on top of records, conference records. He's even got some NCAA records that people don't even know. So Taylor Heineke is really a baller. He's 6'1", even though he looks smaller on TV. And last week, I was joined by Mo Murphy, who we will be joined by tomorrow. And I was also joined by VJ Vernon Husky, who is on the Fox Sports Radio roster. And they were so, they were not sold on Taylor Heineke. And they were very critical of my take on Taylor Heineke. And I think that, sometimes quarterbacks don't always come in the packages of a number one overall draft pick. Sometimes these quarterbacks fall in your lap, and you got to figure them out, and you find them, like a Kurt Warner. Or their path is not the same as everybody else's path to becoming a starting quarterback. But I believe that Taylor Heineke is a starting quarterback and should be for quite some time. Now, should he start struggling? Should they look for a new quarterback? Hell yeah. They need to go get a new quarterback. But for now, Taylor Heineke is a good starter, and he's winning games. He was 196 yards yesterday for 2 touchdowns and an interception. Gibson gave him a little bit of, from the running game. He had 23 carries for 88 yards. But the Raiders are, on a little bit of a slide, and we don't know what's really going to happen with these Raiders. Derek Carr continues to look average. He threw one or no touchdowns yesterday for only 249 yards, but he just doesn't look like the Derek Carr that we thought that we were going to see. At the beginning of the season when they started winning games, They went on a little winning streak, and we thought, man, maybe Derek Carr is an MVP candidate, and he just continues to look average. And he, although he has 17 touchdowns and 9 interceptions this season, he's still not looking like he's going to win them the division. And that division is starting to slip away. The Chiefs are starting to take over that division, despite the average play from quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And they need to get it together. They need to start winning, especially at home. And I worry about the Raiders moving forward, but we'll see what happens with them. But the one bright spot that I will take away from the Raiders game is Hunter Renfrow. He continues to style. He continues to give you great production from the wide receiver spot after losing a guy like Henry Ruggs. 9 catches for 102 yards, and I really do root for Hunter Renfrow because, much like a black quarterback in the NFL, there are a lot of stigmas that are attached to being a black quarterback. They would like you to be a runner more. Sometimes if you are too much of a runner like Lamar Jackson, they try to tell you should be a running back instead of a wide receiver or a wide receiver. Instead of a quarterback. So there's a lot of stigma that comes with black quarterbacks, and there's a lot of stigma that comes with white running backs and white wide receivers. And I root for them harder than I do any other receivers because I know, and if you play the game, the stigma that comes with that too. And they try to say that they're not as fast. Well, if they are fast, like Christian McCaffrey, they use words like deceptively fast and don't give them their props. Christian McCaffrey is fantastic. Probably one of the most athletic guys in the league. Fastest guys in the league, most exciting players to watch. But why do we always have to, point out the fact that he's a white running back? He's just a running back. And Hunter Renfrow is just a wide receiver. And this man has been putting up numbers. He's a great route runner, not the biggest wide receiver, not even the fastest, but he is a damn good wide receiver. And Hunter Renfrow is one of the guys that I root for the most. But the Raiders, we'll see what they do. It's not completely over yet. They have a chance to win this division despite the Chiefs, still winning games. But we'll see. We will see moving forward. We had some more games that were pretty interesting yesterday. A game that really stood out to me was the Colts. The Colts, I told everybody that the Colts were playing better and they were primed to win this division. They won 31-0 over the Texans. And when you have, an O-line like the Colts have, you have a defense like the Colts have, and you have a running game like the Colts have. And Marlon Mack is not even back. They got Jonathan Taylor running the ball. Fantastic, phenomenal. And I feel like they found their guy, their main workhorse in Jonathan Taylor. 32 carries for 143 yards. And not only, is he, explosive, but he's an every down back. And you don't got to take him out on third down. You put him in there. You can run the screens to him. He can do it all. And as long as he's running behind that line, I think he's going to continue to put up production from the running back position for the Colts for a long time to come. And when they get all these other running backs back, Marlon Mack, they're going to be better. They're going to be even better. And look out for these Colts. But Derrick Henry is gone. The Titans are sliding, and we just don't know really when Derrick Henry is going to come back. And if he comes back, how healthy will he be? And if he comes back as Derrick Henry, and all they got to do is get into the dance. But if he comes back not so healthy, I think that they don't have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And I feel like the Colts are continuing week in and week out quietly to insert their dominance in that division. And I'm just excited, for Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz at the beginning of the season, he was supposed to be injured for 5 to 12 weeks, and then he only came back after like week 2, and he's been rolling. So we get to see, Carson Wentz in a position where they're only one game behind the Titans. And if he continues to win games and Titans continue to lose games, then we will see the Colts win this division. Now, let's talk about another tight division. Oh, and by the way, the Texans, it's not even worth mentioning what happened there. They played terrible. Tyrod Taylor, he is from the 757 like me. I root for Tyrod Taylor as well. He went to Virginia Tech. He played terrible. He left early with a wrist injury. Davis Mills came in and played not much better. The Texans are just terrible. They're hoping for, a top draft pick in this draft. But David Culley might not keep his job either. So we'll see. And it's sad because they have one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation on the roster, and he doesn't want to play for them. And They don't want to trade him. It's just a terrible conundrum that's going on in Houston, and I feel bad for all the Houston fans. That's all I'll say about that. All right, now let's move on. We had a game between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Now, the Chiefs are 22-9. The Broncos, scored a touchdown in garbage time. For the most part, it was 22-3. It felt like the entire game. And, the Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves, struggle. And, we don't really know whether or not he's going to be their quarterback moving forward next year. But he was 22 of 40, 257 yards. He threw for a touchdown, but he had a couple picks. And they got production from the running back position and still were able to score points. They had Javonte Williams carry the ball for 23 times and 102 yards, and they were unable whatsoever to put together, drives and get points. And the Chiefs defense is back, and this is what I call them, the Chiefs. All right, don't take that. The Chief defense, okay. And also, we'll talk about I was going to tell you about a dish, but I'll tell you about that later. The Chiefs is back. They look good. They've got a great corner in Ward. They got some players that came back from injury. They went out and got Melvin Ingram. They are stepping up, man. The defense is getting better, and the defense has kind of slowly evolved into being the strength of this team. When we saw them win the Super Bowl, that was the weakness of the team, and the strength of the team was the offense. Now it's kind of flip-flopped. So this is not the same Chiefs that we've seen in the past. Now, these Chiefs, they say offense wins games, defense wins championships. This defense is looking good. They got the Honey Badger back there. I mean, they got players all around that defense. And if they were able to put it together some kind of way, then you always thought that maybe they would be as good as they are right now. And they are great right now. And they are holding teams down. I know it's just the Broncos, but this is a division game. And they've been good the past 4 or 5 weeks. They've been great the past 4 or 5 weeks. And they have slowly taken this division over. And it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. And that's what happened because, 6-7 games ago, the Chiefs were at the bottom of this division. And now they're at the top of the division. And it's feeling good. And if Pat Mahomes can play well, he didn't play that well yesterday, 15-29. Only 184 yards, no touchdowns. That's second week in a row he hasn't had touchdowns. If he can play, and that's the first time that's ever happened in his career. If he can play well, and this offense can muster up some points and not have to rely on the defense to score points like they did last night. If the drops continue to happen, or if the drops if they can stop making those drops happen, because they're dropping a lot of passes too. They can cut down on the drops. Then the Chiefs might be the best team in the AFC. And as it stands right now, they are at the top of the AFC. You got the Patriots at 8-4, Chiefs at 8-4, Ravens at 8-4, Titans at 8-4. So it is looking pretty tight. It's looking pretty good for the Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan, you have a lot to look forward to. We are Goal On Live. I am Barry Long II. We're live on CoachellaValley.com, live on Today'sCalifornia.com, live on Today'sCanada.com. Now, we had another game that we're going to cover. The last one of the day, Steelers versus the Ravens. The Steelers beat my Ravens 20-19, and this game was a classic AFC North battle that we see all the time. You always know that when the Ravens and the Steelers get together, it's going to be close, it's going to be tight, and it's going to be physical. Somebody's going to get hurt, and it's going to go down to the wire, and that's what happened. The Steelers had a decent game. Big Ben Roethlisberger has had a lot of criticism the past few years about not being able to throw the ball down the field. He was able to, muster up some good plays. And despite not having Juju Smith-Schuster, they found a guy in Deontay Johnson, 8 catches for 105 yards. This guy continues to have big game after big game. And like I said last week, the Steelers just seem to always have good receivers. This is just an organization that has always been great at drafting wide receivers. From going back to Lynn Swann, all right, Hines Ward, let's go. And then you can go to Antonio Brown and Mike Wallace and Juju, and it just goes on and on and on. So they found another guy in Deontay Johnson. And, Big Ben played well, 21-31, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They got contribution from the running game and Najee Harris. But the Ravens struggled. The Ravens did struggle for much of this game and were able to, come back down at the end of the game and score a touchdown, down by 2. Do you go for 2 or do you kick the extra point? I'm sorry, down by 1. Do you go for 2 to win the game or do you kick the extra point to tie the game? And Coach John Harbaugh decided to roll the dice and go for 2. And what happened was, Lamar Jackson had a wide open pass to pass to Mark Andrews in a flat, overthrew it just a little bit, and he dropped it in the game, ended 20-19. Now, a lot of fans were upset, saying just kick the extra point. But John Harbaugh, after the game, said, we lost Patrick McCarry on the O-line. We also lost Marlon Humphrey, the cornerback. So we were injury riddled, and we basically had no more corners left. So I decided to go for 2 because, it's now or never. Let's win the game. And that's what happened. And, they did lose Marlon Humphrey for the season with a shoulder injury as well. So that's going to be tough moving forward. Just another injury that you can add to the list of injuries that the Ravens have had. But the Ravens, despite all the adversity that they've been through this season, they are still standing at the top of this division at 8-4. The Bengals are 7-5. Steelers are 6-5. So they have an opportunity to still move forward and make some noise. But they've got to get better on offense, and they've got to limit those injuries. All right. Well, everybody, we have had a great show for Monday. We have a great game tonight. I'm excited. The Bills versus the Patriots, and we're going to really see who is the top of this division. The cream of the crop is going to rise to the top of that division in the AFC East, and it happens tonight. It starts tonight between the Patriots and the Bills. That will be at 5:25 on ESPN, Monday Night Football. I'll be down at O'Kane's with TK. I'm excited to be there and excited to watch this game. Now, we want to thank Craig Campbell and Today's California and CoachellaValley.com for allowing us to go here each and every Monday through Friday at noon 30 and break down these sports. Mo Murphy will be with us tomorrow. We got Mo Murphy back in the building tomorrow. And we got some exciting guests that will be coming up later this week. And we're just going to continue to have some fun and continue to push this thing out, man. So this is Go Long Live, man. I am Barry Long II. You can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can also find me on IG at BarryLong_2. And, as I say each and every show, man, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired. And remember that you can accomplish anything. You're capable of anything. So take yourself out there and go and do it. We will see y'all tomorrow. We'll break down the rest of the NFL games, and we'll also break down the Monday Night Football game. Peace.